Hi guys, welcome to another video. So this is going to be kind of like a rant video about the stuff that just happened with the California gunman or whatever who killed 6 people on Friday. So I've been like following this a little bit, and apparently he has Asperger's, that's what they're saying, and that he had been treated. I don't know if they're saying that to like cover up the fact that this wasn't treated or whatever, but supposedly he has he's dead now. Supposedly he had Asperger's and stuff, but I still think, and his father thinks this, I just saw him do a statement, and he blamed it on politicians and like gun control stuff, and also just our society, and it's just a bad thing. And you know, a lot of people were blaming the parents and all this stuff, but I think more so, I mean, I don't think it's his dad. His dad is very torn up about this, thinks his son was a great kid, but people don't always follow what their parents tell them. So I don't think it's his parents, and I think different things from my parents, so it's not, I don't think he's getting all of these misogynistic ideas from his dad or anything. I really think that it's this culture that we live in where some people like this, you know, sure, you might have had Asperger's and had a hard time making friends, but I have a hard time making friends. That doesn't mean I'm gonna, you know, be a psycho killer or whatever. And I'm sure a lot of people who have Asperger's aren't gonna have this problem. So sure, he might have had this diagnosed issue, but I think the main thing that pushed him to doing this is just being a shitty person. I mean, my therapist has said this before, like, everyone brings their own personality to their mental illness, and if you're a great person before you develop your mental illness, you're going to be a great person afterwards too. It's just you're going to need to be, you know, having some sort of aid in your life to make sure you can function from day to day like a average Joe or whatever. So I think first and foremost, regardless of any actual, you know, diagnosed mental illness or personality disorder or whatever, he brought his own personality to this, and you know, his dad was like, he's a great kid, whatever. I mean, it might not even be his personality. He brought his own person to it. I mean, his own like self to the illness. It wasn't only the illness that caused this, so I don't want people to think that like, oh, everyone who has Asperger's, you should be afraid of them or whatever, because that's definitely not true. There are plenty of like sweet little Asperger's kids, you know, most of them are sweet little Asperger's kids, or sweet whatever, unless they are an actual psychopath or sociopath or whatever. You can't just say, no, it's because he had a mental illness. Watch out for those mentally ill people. And I totally agree that more money needs to be put into the mental health care system, but I think it's to help those mentally ill people, to keep them off the streets, and so they're not homeless, and so they can live a normal life and be productive members of society. I think people with mental illness should be treated with compassion, and I think doing things like this, pinning it on his mental illness like as the forefront of the issue, is kind of like marking anyone who has a diagnosed mental illness as someone who should be feared or disdained or persecuted, instead of, you know, needing to be helped, which I think his father would agree that he needed help. I mean, he was in treatment, so I mean, I'm in treatment and I'm getting help from it. So if he wasn't responding to the treatment, then obviously there's like a deeper rooted issue there that might be from our society that he is not connecting with, you know, and yeah, like the gun control things, like being like, so it's so easy to get a gun and all this stuff, you know. So yeah, I guess that's all I want to say about that. This guy is a clear misogynist and has this whole thing where like the grass is greener on the other side. He's bitter about being a virgin and girls not liking him, well, the reason girls don't like you is because you're a dickhead, you know. Clearly you're a dickhead. So maybe if you were nicer, more mature, more like this jealous guy who's all like, popular kids are mean to me, wah, you know, then girls would be more attracted to you, because he's not a bad looking guy. You know, if he had a nice personality and he was a cool guy, then I would consider, you know, possibly dating him. But considering he is misogynist, sexist guy who thinks he's entitled to women to just flock towards him or whatever, it's like, no dude, if you want a girl to like you, you actually have to be a good person and not someone who would even consider in their wildest dreams going on a murdering spree. Yeah, I don't ever want to be with someone who would like consider ever killing people because they're like, well, girls won't date me, you know, all this stuff. It's like, seriously, I don't know. It's just really, really sad that some people think that they are somehow owed the affections of a woman. It's like, it's just a really bad deficit in his outlook in his life. I think we should view him as an asshole and not a guy who had Asperger's. So that's just my opinion. I think his Asperger's might have contributed to the fact that he had trouble making friends or making eye contact or whatever, but his little microcosm of what he gained from his societal conditioning was what pushed this over the edge. And this is why I believe this is like one of the main things I wanted to like say, is that women's studies courses really need to be in the core curriculum of high school classes. It's not too much to ask. Women's studies class in high school curriculum, even just like a chapter in a book, would be better, because I'm pretty sure there's no mention of any sort of like women's awareness of who we actually are as people, and I don't really know. Just the lack of awareness is what causes these sorts of things to happen. So I don't know if I don't know if I got anything across, but I hope that some of this made sense, because I wanted to make this video and some people are like, oh, don't give him any publicity or whatever. Well, who fucking cares if we give him publicity? He's dead. He did a bad thing. I think we should be here reprimanding him, you know, instead of just ignoring it. Like, oh, don't give him any publicity. Let's just ignore that this ever happened. It's like, no, this is something that we should be paying attention to and kind of seeing what we can learn from this really tragic situation. Anyways, I hope you guys have a really good day. Hope everyone is feeling very appreciative to be alive and that they didn't have to experience this terrible situation. For the first, you know, few hours after I heard about this, I was like, wow, I'm like scared to leave my house now. That was just like my knee-jerk reaction, but you know, life keeps going on and you can't be afraid to go experience life because one jackass was a jackass, which unfortunately happens a lot in our society and in the world. It's just kind of a fact of life that you have to accept. So I've had to accept that. I mean, I really wish that nothing bad would happen to me or anyone else. That would be an ideal world for me, if nothing bad had to happen to me or anyone else, because it really makes me upset and I cry sometimes because of these things. But anyways, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video and stuff. Okay, and share this video if I did say anything good. Oh yeah, and I know there's a lot more that I could have said about this, but this is just off the top of my head. I feel like I needed to like hurry up and make this video, so this is just off the top of my head. I know other people probably have more eloquent videos and ideas about this, but anyways, that's just off the top of my head stuff that I wanted to say. Okay, so leave your comments if you have something more meaningful to say to add to this conversation. Okay, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!